another loss for the Lions, 34-11 at home against the Bengals. Jeff, what are your thoughts on the Lions?
Well, it's a little depressing this morning, coming in Monday, and the Lions are 0-6. It's the first time since they went 0-16 in that season where Matthew Stafford dropped it in our hands in 2009. But it's not a good resume piece for Dan Campbell. I'll say that. But regardless, he shouldn't be. We say this all the time. He shouldn't be judged strictly on wins and losses. At least this first year, the game was essentially a formula for disaster. Anyone who watched the game, whatever you end the game with 36 total yards rushing, and you put your below-average defense on the field for 36 minutes, they're going to get tired, and things are going to start slipping. I mean, they played very good early on in the ball game. The more Joe Burrow was out on the field, and the more Jared Goff was on the sidelines, the defense started to break down. And you have a quarterback who's playing extremely poor, and you could try and make the argument it's because of what's around him. But you'd probably lose that argument. You'd probably lose that argument every single time. He's a check-down artist who occasionally turns the ball over. He's not willing to try and make big plays, and when he does, he's missing reads. I mean, you watched the game yesterday. They were not able to move the ball. We had nearly as many plays as the Cincinnati Bengals. We had, obviously, a lot less success. And, something positive you could take away would be T.J. Hockenson. He looked good. The Lions used him a lot more this week than last week. That's really the one positive thing, at least on the offensive side of the ball, you can look forward to grow every single game. But besides T.J. Hockenson, there really isn't anything respectable to take away from this offense. I mean, they haven't displayed anything besides a late 49ers comeback, and they didn't even win the ball game. So they haven't scored in 8 quarters? Jared Goff hasn't thrown a touchdown. It's very depressing. It's horrendous, if you will. So, I mean, this is probably the worst game we've seen this far in this season as the Lions. They've played as a team. It was, on top of the poor performance as a team, they committed 9 total penalties. And when you're such a untalented football team, you're not helping your margin of error. It's not allowing the Detroit Lions any room to breathe. So, a Cincinnati Bengals team who was ready to take advantage, losing last week to Green Bay, they were ready to go, and they showed out. So, this is really they're the only team in the NFL without a win. The Detroit Lions are, and they're taking on LA next week. So, probably going to Week 8 winless. But in terms of some positives besides Hockenson, I like what I saw to Derek Barnes. I mean, he had some nice plays, especially in pass coverage. This is a guy that I'm glad Dan Campbell decided to let loose a little bit. Defense lacks overall talent, but they played extremely hard up until late in the ball game when they just were on the field so much. But really, one thing I took from the game yesterday, besides kind of knowing what Jared Goff already was, and just a team playing horribly, probably the worst game so far. It's going to be a long season, very, very long season for the Detroit Lions, and we'll get to it later, but besides them and the Jags, I mean, you can make an argument the Lions may be in the running race for that number 1 overall pick. So that's what I took from last night against the Bengals.
That was the worst game of football I've watched in a while. And let's keep in mind, the last 3 years, Matt Patricia was your head coach of the Detroit Lions. That was really bad. And I could pile on today on Jared Goff. Heck, if I wanted to, I could call out Anthony Lynn. I'm not going to do that today. Honestly, I'm very tired. I'm very tired from this football team. They're not getting better. Only the defense is. The defense gave up only 10 first-half points in a half where not only were the Detroit Lions shut out, but they turned the ball over on downs, and they threw an early interception.
Yep.
I believe it was as they were driving. They had momentum, and Goff threw an unfortunate interception. Came out of Hawkinson's hands while he was coming down with it. Regardless, the team is not getting better, guys. We're 6 games in. And every week, it's look ourselves in the mirror. We'll get better. I got to hold myself accountable on this one, Dan. All right, I hear it every week, bro. I'm not seeing it. I'm not. Where is the week-to-week progression? This is how you should have lost the first 3-4 games, realistically, honestly. If you're being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
This is how you should have lost the first 3-4 games. And then how you played in the first 3-4 games is how you kind of should have played going on, showing some kind of improvement. Only the defense has gotten better. Penei Sewell, highest-rated offensive player yesterday. He had a good game. Now, if you actually watch the game, you would notice that Hendricks was just getting not Henderson. How do you say his last name? The Bengals DN.
Yeah, Henderson.
Yeah,
It's Henderson.
So,
Yep.
long story short, this guy was unbelievable yesterday.
Yeah.
But you know
Yeah.
what, guys? It's easy to pick on Penei Sewell, and to be honest, you can pick on any tackle or guard in that situation. Jared Goff is holding onto the ball for way too long. The receivers are open. He's A, either not seeing them, or B, he's not confident enough to make the throw in a tight window. And what's happening? The same way you can expect, and you want to justify Jeff Okudah with me. You want to tell me that, well, the defensive line isn't getting any pressure. How do you expect the corners to cover wide receivers in the NFL for more than 5-6 seconds? Well, my friend, how do you expect an offensive lineman to stop a dominating, physical, athletic specimen that is typically a defensive tackle or a defensive end, depending on your position? How do you expect the lineman to hold up for 4, 5, 6 seconds? They're giving Jared Goff the time.
Yep.
It's just not doing anything with the ball. And again, you can't protect the guy forever. So I was actually happy yesterday for Derek Barnes, for Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, something positive out of that atrocious football game. And you know what really pissed me off? Was on 4th and 9, down 27-0. They take 3 points. They take the 3 points. You know why they took the 3 points? They probably don't want to get shut out. And they go down and score a meaningless 8 points after that.
Yeah.
Just like they've scored all season, guys. The offense isn't any good. DeAndre Swift is amazing. I think we can all agree. T.J. Hawkinson looks like a really good tight end. Great. You suck on offense.
What is it doing for you?
Your quarterback is awful. Your quarterback, like, it's not even that he's just bad. You have a quarterback that is probably playing at the lowest of the low in terms of mental capacity. This guy just doesn't see it, get it, or feel it at all.
He's a shell.
Guys, you know, when you drop back as a quarterback, you kind of already know the play, don't you? Which means you're not telling, unless it's a quick throw, you're not giving the safeties or the corners or the linebackers any hint on where you plan on going with the football. So what do? You drop back and you look directly ahead of you. What Jared Goff does is he stares down one side of the ball every single time. No. Go back and watch the film from yesterday. You can look at every single game this year. This guy, week to week, stares down more and more. It's getting really bad now.
Yeah.
Now, I know people want Blauin, and guys, no, I'd rather be 0-17 and get the number 1 overall pick. Thank you. Keep Jared Goff in. Let's keep losing football games. I mean, you're talking about the future of this football team. Having said that, what do you take away from your head coaches, or just your coaching staff in general, and then the head coach every week, guys? Last week he was crying. This week he was pissed. Next week he's going to be happy. Wow, we only lost by 52 to the Rams. Hey. We improved. This is bad. And what hurts me the most and what really drives me nuts, and which is why I'm really tired this morning, is I'm not seeing individual or team improvement. I'm not asking them to win 7, 8, 9 games this year. I'm not. I'm expecting 2, 3, maybe even 4. But you can't go week to week not improving at all. You can't regress week to week. You're not only a bad football team, you're beyond awful. You're poorly coached. You're poorly managed. The fact that you were down 10-0 was a blessing from the gods and Aaron Glenn. It was a blessing you were only down 10-0. And what happened? Your offense continued to punt. You punted or turned the ball over 8 out of your 10 possessions in the game. You don't win football games. You're not only bad, you're awful. You're poorly coached. The talent isn't there. It's poor across the board. And guys, let's keep in mind, in the NFL, bad teams win 4 or 5 games every single year. They don't look this bad. Even the Jaguars won a game against the Miami Dolphins team, let's be honest, guys, is much better than the Jacksonville Jaguars, talent-wise, roster-wise. Tua came back, looked really good, but you know what? Jacksonville pulled it off. Good for them. I'm not sure where my head is this morning, because there's so many things I could just really pile on, but I really don't want to, because this is like totally what I called and what I expected. But I think what's frustrating is I'm not seeing the improvement week to week. Where's the coaching adjustments? Where's the player development? Derek Barnes took you 5 games to put him in. Screaming for it since the preseason. Penei Sewell actually kind of looked good. Excuse me, I don't think any left tackle should or can protect their quarterback for more than 6 seconds. So excuse me, Jared Goff is not getting rid of the ball and making everybody around him look worse. Amon-Ra St. Brown, everybody loves to talk about him. And Jeff, again, don't take this the wrong way, but another 5-catch performance for 26 yards.
Yeah, that interception, it was a fumble, whatever it was.
I mean, they called it a pick. I didn't care. I mean, whether it was a fumble on Hawkinson or a pick on Goff, I mean, it's just the timely turnovers and mistakes continues to happen with this football team.
Yep.
And I know Jared Goff got the interception. If you want to take it off the books, I don't care. You want to be like Patrick Mahomes' mom and complain about the interception? Be my guest. But Jared Goff is not only a bridge quarterback, he may be the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. And for anybody that wants to sit in the chat going forward and talk to me about Jared Goff's Super Bowl appearance, playoff wins, you really need to look yourself in the mirror before you ever consider talking to me again. There's so many things this morning that really just drive me nuts. Like, Amon-Ra St. Brown, for all the talent, you expect. Again, he's a rookie. You're not going to pile on too much. But this was the trend in the preseason. It was 4 or 5 catches, 12, 15 yards. Which means he's getting bubble screens. He's running 2-yard routes. I mean, you're not making people miss for you to run those kind of routes.
Yeah.
Golden Tate can run those routes because he makes people miss. His yards after catch are unbelievable. Amon-Ra St. Brown's aren't. He's not making people miss. Now, can he make people miss in 2-3 years? Absolutely. I'll give him time to develop. But we're talking right now. There's no week-to-week progressional. There's nothing where you're looking at like, you know what? Getting better, boys. Getting better. Hey, you know what? It's a lost season. We already knew that. We're in a rebuild year 1. You know what? Hey, I got to say, I don't like these aspects of the team, but hey, we're improving here. You can't say any of that. All you can say, Detroit, is that, we almost beat the Ravens. We almost, coulda, shoulda. Enough. I'm actually very tired of this. You're in a rebuild. Accept it. But hold your players, hold your coaches, hold your front office, hold the team accountable for the fact that they haven't improved week to week. They've had a good half against Green Bay. They've had a good half against, San Francisco to an extent.
Yeah.
Kind of flaky, but you've had good halves. You've also had awful halves. Of your 6 games, you've been shut out in 4 of any given halves. That is awful. You're not winning football games putting up donuts.
8 quarters, you can't score.
In quarters, let alone halves.
Yeah.
It's really bad. So, Jared Goff is really awful. It's not the worst roster. It's not even that it's the worst roster in the NFL. I mean, you look at across the board, it just reeks of inexperience.
Yep, that's what it is.
And we'll get to Dan Campbell's press conference and what he said after. But we'll go more into why they're so inexperienced and why I think some people are just really in over their head on what they're doing. Jared Goff is definitely one of them. This is getting really bad. I told you before the season, he was under more pressure than Stafford for this exact reason. They're 0-6. He's never won a game without Sean McVay. He looks god-awful. And there's no team in the NFL that would consider signing him once he's a free agent, unless he goes for the league minimum for a 3-year deal to be a backup, in which case they would hope to God that their starter never gets hurt because they'll get really bad if Jared Goff is playing at quarterback. That's the reality. So